Welcome to the Perfect Life Awakening Show, hosted by Royce Morales. Royce has been a transformational facilitator, teaching groundbreaking, spiritually based courses for more than 4 decades. She is the author of 3 books about her teachings. Join Royce as she takes you on a journey into how to live your best life and find your true purpose through discovering the origins of subconscious, disempowering notions and releasing them. She talks with experts and inspiring people just like you who learned to trust their intuitive inner wisdom, which led to life-changing shifts. Today, her guests live an empowered existence and are helping change the world to a higher consciousness place based on truth and love. You deserve to awaken to, align with, and embody your true self and live a life filled with love. Transform yourself from triggered to empowered and create your perfect life. Here is your host, Royce Morales.
Hello, welcome to my show, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today. And before I even introduce my wonderful guest, who I'm thrilled to be speaking with, I want to let you know that I am starting a new Perfect Life Awakening course. It's a 10-week course, and it's scheduled to start on Sunday, January 26th at 12 noon Pacific time. So if you've been watching my show and are just dying to delve deeper into your life so that you can go from triggered to empowered, just reach out to me at perfectlifeawakening.com, and it has all the details there, and I will sign you up. And the name of the course is From Self-Sabotage to Empowerment, which is certainly something we could all use, I'm sure. So let me introduce you all to my amazing guest. And I think we're having a little camera difficulty. She looks a little blurry, but I'm sure she's not blurry in person. Her name is Karen Gruber, and she had an extraordinarily successful real estate career. And when it was time to retire, she just felt like there was more that she was supposed to give women to help them succeed. And so she opened a coaching practice, and what she found out angered and shocked her, because she was working with women that were carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders and bound by invisible chains, which most of us are for sure, that were really trapping them into financial dependency and just not getting what they deserve out of life, things that were holding them back from their confidence. So she created what she calls the Spiritual Client Code, which is a groundbreaking messaging methodology that really revolutionizes how spiritual entrepreneurs, never can say that word, entrepreneurs, that help them communicate and articulate the benefits of their work. I know I had such a hard time for years, and I've been doing this for 4 decades, but I can't even tell you how many different taglines I've gone through and different titles I've given myself. Even the title of my courses, it has gone through more changes than I care to admit. So she was giving them practical tools and steps to really help them gain success in their spiritual business. And I know that she's transformed the lives of so many women, spiritual entrepreneurs. And she proved, and she's going to talk to us about this today, she proved that it's possible to have financial abundance as well as a spiritual purpose. And I know that there's so many notions that us spiritual types have about making money from what we do. You know, for decades, it's been, oh no, it's spiritual. You shouldn't be making money doing it. You should do it for free, give it away. So hopefully she negates that premise. So welcome, Karen. I'm so glad you're here. We've been waiting forever to do this together.
Yes, it's been shifted around a bit, but I am so happy to get to be here with you today, Royce. Thank you so much for this, getting to spend time with you this morning.
Oh gosh, I'm honored. So Okay, tell us the story of how this happened, how you went from real estate, which I don't know, maybe you were a spiritual real estate person, and you turned that into a business that helps other spiritual women. So tell us how that happened.
Yeah, so my now husband and I had a real estate company, and we were plug, and I always knew that I wanted to help. I mean, it was wonderful getting to help businesses find the perfect building for their business and their employees, and but it wasn't quite want to do the real estate without my husband, because that was the fun part, right? So I needed to find that I had been longing to do for a very long time, and it always kept going, because I had such amazing transformations when I was working with a coach. And so I knew how valuable it was. And then what I realized was I was getting these messages about money. And the first hand, as you know, we tell ourselves, well, what do I know about that? I don't know about anything. And who am I to teach that to people? And who's going to listen? And all the things. But really, I had helped build this multi-million dollar business. And so I knew a lot about money and how to create it. So when I listened and I got to heart and implemented that is really when my business took off. And I was like, okay, thank you, Spirit, thank you for sharing. And the reason I wanted to work with women was because in the beginning, I was just having hundreds of and the common thread that was so heartbreaking was that a lot of these women, not all of them, but a lot, felt like they were in relationships but they couldn't leave because they were financially dependent. And so really the crux of it is that everyone, not just would generate income for themselves and choose into and out of relationships. They can take the risks to propel them forward. And that really was the meat of the mission, so to speak.
Yeah. So when you said so many women that you dealt with had an attitude of, well, who am I to do this? Having had that attitude,
Yes.
when I don't know if you read my story on my website, but that was me, and this work was
Yes.
literally handed to me intuitively. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I researched and discovered and do all. It was like, here you go, and intuitively I received the teachings. So
Yes.
there was a part of me that kept saying, oh, why me? Why me? So it took me a long time to get over that. How do you help people with that? Because that's so ingrained in us.
Yeah. Royce, I realized that when it comes to intuition and when it comes to things that we receive from source or the logical mind, we can break it down into 3 steps. So one is the receiving or the listening, right? We're sometimes not in the quiet moments, but usually when we're able to just calm, be in the quiet, be in the stillness, that's usually when I receive most often. Then we have to trust. You and we receive these messages, and it's like, well, they can't mean me for a reason. So it is, and trusting that what you are receiving is for the greater good, right? And then the third step is inspired action. Okay, message. I'm going to trust that this is coming to me for a reason. Now, what is it in me to do? And so it sounds like you were inspired to these beautiful practices into a business and doing your course and the podcast and all the things that you're involved with. And that's inspired action. It's not, okay, now I have to do this. It's great to have a plan, but we need fluidity within that plan, and we need to be inspired on a daily basis.
But how do you help people to trust? That's the key word.
Yeah.
What do you say to them? Well, just trust, and then they trust?
It takes a lot of practice. As you know, it takes a lot of practice. It is probably one of the most difficult things that an individual can implement into their lives. Everything we are, and it's talked about and we're told, goes completely opposite. The plan you have to follow science, but business is done this way, so you have to do it this way. You don't, you're going to fail. Right?
Yeah.
And all it's counterintuitive to what we really want to create, want to be and show up in our businesses.
Yeah. But I think
it's practice. It's simply practice. And I'm sure people don't like to hear that, they want and everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
But you just keep trying.
Yeah. And there's no manual of how to do that. You just have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have like a leap of faith. But then what I have is every time somebody trusts and does take an inspired action, it just helps to realize, okay, yeah, I see how this works, and I'm kind of digging this because I'm liking how I feel. I'm liking how I'm showing results, right? So it feeds into itself. It's like a muscle. It keeps growing and getting stronger every time.
Yeah. And things start to unfold, and you can't deny that. When I had people arrive in my living room,
right,
saying, "Okay, here we are, friends."
Yeah, we're here.
Couldn't deny that.
That's right.
Yeah. So, what are you might have answered this, but I'm sure there's more to it. What are the challenges that spiritual entrepreneurs generally face in how they message, how they get their message out there? What are some of the roadblocks that you've noticed?
There are a couple of big ones. And if this has ever happened to you.
I'm sure it has.
So one is the who am I to do this? Or the doubts, like nobody's going to pay me for this. Nobody's going to listen to me. There's 1,000 other people out here doing the same thing. How am I, I'm so far behind. I'll never get there. All the things. It's that inner critic, right? We can't, it's always telling us, trying to keep us safe. It's really not, right? So it's identifying what are our biggest blocks or limiting beliefs, if you will, and how do I move forward and embrace what's really true for me instead of what the mind keeps telling me, right?
Yes.
And then the second one, we know our work can literally benefit anyone, right? Benefit in almost any, if not all, situations that you could ever think of, right? So this vagueness is very difficult to harness in messaging because when you say, I can help anyone, I can help you do anything, people are like, no, you can't. I mean, they don't, there's no validity to that, right? It sounds too good to be true.
Right. Yes.
So it's really difficult to get spiritual entrepreneurs, and not just to niche down, but to identify a specific problem and want to solve for a group of people, clientele, that they want to work with. Because how great they are at fixing every and model of vehicle, and I have, let's say, these, and then somebody else comes and says, well, I specialize in Mercedes. That's all I do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go because
Right.
they're going to know my car. They're not going to have to be guessing or so it's really, and that is hard, like you're saying. I mean, I myself, many iterations of the tagline and who I'm helping and how I'm helping them, because I can help everyone.
Yeah.
And so you're talking to everyone, you're talking to people, need to be able to see themselves working with you and you helping them solve their specific problem. And Royce, I mean, our work feels so good, and it's I want to talk about how they're doing it. Well, we do meditation and we do, nobody gives a hoot. They need to solve the problem.
Right.
And so, luxury is and getting a massage or right. These are all in people's minds. Well, that husband will get me that for Christmas, or my best friend will buy it for my birthday. Talking about how we can specifically, and it's like, oh, I need that. I will pay you.
Yeah.
Right. People oftentimes feel that's very manipulative. And you talked about earlier, I shouldn't have to charge for my services, and it's more spiritually poor, and all the things that we've heard or into ourselves. And if you think about it, it's spiritual to be poor. I can do more and give back more and my money when I have money.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And I can benefit way more people in that regard. Not to mention, so there's a lot of shifts that have to take place, and it's a lot, although there are business strategies we look at and we talk about, which are important, strategy fits every person. So we've got to find the strategies where you shine, we're excited to show up so that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2 questions come to mind. Let me ask you, which one should I ask first? Let's see. A lot of people that arrive in my classes have been sent by people. In fact, everybody that arrives in my classes have been sent by people. And a lot of times they show up trying to prove that the person that sent them was crazy or wrong. My wife told me and I would be here, that kind of thing. I've had a lot of skeptics. I would say 90% of the skeptics end up being my best students because they arrive with questioning and they don't just accept things blindly, which that's one of my best qualities, actually. That's how I got where I am, by questioning. So what do you recommend that, and then some of them have been, have walked out in a huff. Is there something you recommend to deal with skeptics, or, to give that message to somebody that will be open to it because they're skeptics? Does that make sense?
It does. I don't think in our to convince anybody of anything, but if they're curious, and even if they are a skeptic, but they're at least willing to open up a little bit and consider another perspective or something different that they haven't tried before, I can do, right? I cannot somebody perfect fit for them. But if they're open to it and they're open to having either conversations or trying some of the practices or something like that, like you become your biggest fans. They're like, wow, this is it at first, or I didn't believe it at first, and it's changed.
Yes. Yeah.
But we can't force, either not at a place where they're willing to listen, or they're not at a place where they're willing to open up. Because I think, as anyone who's been listening to this conversation has picked up on, is this is a lot of deep inner work, and a lot of people just don't care to go there, so to speak. So it's not that it has to be serious and somber all the time. I happen to think that spiritual work is very joyful and and you can have a lot of fun along the way, and things truly can change in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it's a little bit more arduous, and you need to really dig deep. You hear something you hadn't heard before, and comes to you in a meditation, and it's like, holy smokes, that just blew the doors right off.
Right.
And I'm a different person for it.
Yeah. And that's what I always hope happens with those skeptics, because then they can't deny it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The other question that came to me is, I'm always concerned with making claims, because my work that I do with people, every single person is unique. There's not one person in 40 years that has had the same experience. They might have similar, but everything is unique. So I hate to say to them, well, when you're going to do this, this is going to happen, and especially because it's such a lawsuit happy world. I don't want to have anybody say, but you said that this was going to happen. How do you encourage people to promote themselves and not make specific claims?
I always approach my about with some similar questions. One is, what was this experience like for you? And how are you different, or what is different now than working together? Because we're not doing the work, and nobody's going to have any kind of change if they don't willingly participate. They're the ones who are really doing the work. How they show up, how they grasp lessons or homework or assignments or whatever. So it's not me doing the work, more of a facilitator or a effort, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not me getting the results. It's me helping you facilitate those results. I personally, Royce, cannot even think about, am I going to get sued or not? Like, I can't come from that place of work, because then those are the people that I'm going to attract. So just trust that whomever is not that type of person who would do that, right? Or is not the kind of person not do the work. Like, my expectation and what I hope I send is, if we're going to work together, you're going to your energy, and you're going to show up, and we're going to do the work together, and you whatever it is that you are looking for, we are going to get results, right? Because like you said, everyone has a different set of circumstances. Everybody's looking for something, and so I have no problem with claims when I state that it's something that we worked on together. It's not me building a website for it. I can build the website alone. It's do together.
Yeah. And so I guess back to my same question. So when you're promoting your work, or when you encourage your client to promote their work, how do they phrase it so it's not a claim, but it's still, this could happen, sort of thing? Is there a magical?
I just have them share what's happened since we started working together. And for some clients, it's, oh my gosh, ever since we started working together, my client roster has gone up threefold. I filled my first workshop with 10 prospects. I built my list and I added 1,000 names to my email list, my book, and I have it to the point where it's ready to go to the developmental editor. Those things are undeniably do happen. And then they also how they feel about the process. It's like, I'm so more confident.
Right.
I know that I can get up and do a Facebook Live 20 times now, and I'm really confident in the process. And if I mess up or say the wrong words or my hair's not perfect or whatever, nobody cares. That makes me real, right?
Yeah.
So it's about the experience and the results. And I would encourage someone who is building a business or has a business or wants to have a business, that you can definitely use these claims. I mean, they're coming from somebody else's mouth. It's
Right.
not, I did this, they did this.
Okay. Yeah.
Working with me, you know?
Okay.
And
That
for
makes
anyone,
sense. Yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to pop in real quickly because this came through. So many people, when they're just starting their business, some of the things they have to do hours, you know, working with people, patients and stuff. Get testimonials from the people that you met and see what problems did you solve for them, because you had no idea you were doing, right? You may discover that you are helping people, no idea that was an outcome, or strengthening their relationships with their partners, and you had no idea that was what was happening. So ask questions, and just because the work is free, so to speak, doesn't mean that you did not provide value, and you very much use those testimonials and those results, those experiences at yourself.
That's a great idea. That's really good. Well, we need to take a bit of a break here. I'm talking to Karen Gruber. We're talking about her spiritual client code, helping those of you out there either thinking about starting a business or have already been in business and need some help. She's going to give some more clues and advice for that. We will be right back.
Om Times TV. Do you crave joy but feel stuck? Do you go through life feeling constantly triggered and frustrated? Fear is likely the culprit, and subconscious fear is likely sabotaging you. Perfect Life Awakening is a time-tested, spiritually based approach to inner transformation created by Royce Morales. For over 40 years, she has helped people get to the origins of subconscious fears and ultimately help them find their true purpose and a life full of joy. Sign up for Perfect Life Awakening today at roycemorales.com. You deserve to go from triggered to empowered, shifting your life with Perfect Life Awakening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. I'm talking to Karen Gruber, and she has created the Spiritual Client Code. And for those of you that aren't in business or even not pondering going into business, everything that she's saying really can apply to anybody. So hopefully people haven't said, oh, that doesn't apply to me, because it really does. It's messages about life and dealing with people and promoting yourself in whatever it is that you're doing. So I wanted to ask you, this is something that I really struggled with, because, should I make myself sound like really woo-woo and really spiritual and really evolved, or should I just be myself? And again, it took me a long time to just trust that when I teach my course, I'll talk about all my failures. I'll talk about my struggles. I'll talk, I'll swear, and I'm just authentic. So how do you help people in terms of being authentic in whatever it is that they're trying to promote or trying to bring out there in the world? What do you think about authenticity?
Oh, this is such a great question. A course talked about, not a course, sorry. It was like a master class, predictions for 2025. And in 2020 is going to be the greatest superpower that anyone can in this age of AI and the way that is trending. Everyone is sounding more diluted and everybody else. And so the more you can just be yourself and truly, your description was so beautiful. And I'm not all woo-woo all the time and, present no more selves. It's more about showing up as ourselves. And this is going to be key, particularly for small businesses, where maybe it's just you or you and a few teams, right? And just encourage it enough. And so what this means is, like you said, being real, showing up with all of it. Showing up with the struggles and the challenges. And I would recommend for anyone who is in business, just, not showing up as a hot mess, but what is my struggle and how am I either moving through it or how am I focused, right? That goes. And if everyone were solution focused, what world this would be, instead of everybody just sitting around about this or bitching about blah, 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 right?
Yes.
Because what does that do to your energy? Spewing all that. And two, if you're the recipient, it's like, whoa, what did I just walk into? So, yes, of course, we all have struggles. Nobody's life is perfect. And to be able to show up and share that makes you even that much more relatable. Like she doesn't live in a golden palace and everything is perfect and I can never achieve that, right? But when we're real and we allow others to see what we're struggling with or what we're challenged with and how we're out moving forward, I mean, that in itself is to model for others, and it's a great way to live.
Yeah. I think there's something really important about being relatable. Like you said, I'm not living in some cave or some golden palace. So yeah, it's the relatability factor that I think really attracts people to your work. Yeah.
Definitely. And we need it. Yeah, right now, off of, being isolated blocked it from my mind. I don't know how long we were under quarantine with COVID, but people crave community and connection and know that they're not alone.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not trying to throw shade on AI because I love it. And generating, ideas and how I can pull things together. But when people just cut and paste, it's diluting these connections and the realness. So the more you up as who you really are, a lot of us are teaching the same or similar ideas and concepts and all of that. But when I show up as me, I know that people who are attracted over here are not my people. But there's a whole nother group to my energy and what I bring to the table, even if they down the street,
Yeah. That's really important what you just said, because when I started doing this 4 decades ago, it was me and maybe 10 other people in the whole world that were teaching some of the things that I was teaching. And I don't even know if there were 9 others, because I was just getting it all intuitively. And now my emails, there's like 100 people all the time sending me emails saying, do this and do that. And it's not the same as me, but it's very similar. So how do you, what you said, being authentic, being you is really important, but is there something else you recommend to be the one that stands out in the crowd?
I don't know anyone is going to be able to stand out, but what you can do is create your own community that are attracted to be connected to, so that they're not necessarily listening to all the other noise that's out there. And if you can create an special for your audience, for your people, so to speak, is going to go a long way, and is being consistent. And that consistency all goes for the piece and the self-confidence that, yes, what I bring to the table is value. And even if it's just for one, if you have millions of listeners, millions of people who watch their broadcast, if just one person is shifted in, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
So it's really about creating a community instead of trying to go up like a whack-a-mole is what comes to mind. Is like, oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, very true. So I noticed that one of the suggested questions that is in my face right now is, you call it the audience's pain points. So what does that really mean, and how do you address that with people?
Oh, I love this. Okay, so I think anyone who taken an entrepreneurial course or a course healing or any of that, what is being in the main coaching, the thing is, you've got to find the pain point. You've got to find, and you just have to drive it home, right? And it's almost to the point of like making them so miserable in their pain, have no choice but to buy or whatever it is you're selling, whether it's a course or whatever. And I find it criminal, personally. But you do need to know what pain points are so that you can talk about it. One, that you're helping to solve that pain, but 2, it goes back to the relatability. Like, I get you. I know to not have the people around me believe in this dream of mine, find a support community that does. I know what that's like. It's a big pain point for my people. And I know what it's like to look at your calendar. Okay, I don't have any clients this next month. What in the heck am I going to do? Right? I know what that's like. I've been there, and here's how I move forward from that. So it's not the wound, but it is all about, some people, Royce, when they encounter, someone like yourself, they see them doing this podcast and they're like, gosh, your life must be so together and perfect. And, be able to achieve that. But if I can talk about you said you share about your journey and your struggles. Well, she's not that perfect. She's gone through this too. And we need to be relatable. And putting up this big facade of I'm so perfect and I'm spiritually awakened and I can do no wrong. And some of the personas that are out there, that's not real. That's just not real, and it's not relatable.
Yeah. And there's such a fine line between being authentic and open versus, well, you're really screwed up. Why would I want to learn from you?
Right. And that's what I was saying about showing up like a hot mess, or, wow, this is happening, and here's how I'm growing and learning. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us one more little clue in terms of being a successful spiritual entrepreneur. What else would you recommend that they do?
Last year did a survey, and it was very interesting. Some of the results of the survey was that over 75% of the women in my little world either had business yet but wanted to, had just started their business, and just not hitting the numbers that they had anticipated or wanted from their. So that's a pretty definitive. And what I realized was I really need to encourage these people to never give up. Like, if you have this calling, this pull to do something today, you need to start ways to bring that in. Now, I would never encourage anyone to just quit their job and, maybe you can cut out 5 hours building this beautiful business. And then maybe 6 months down the road, you can cut back a little bit on your full-time job and put more hours into the business that you want, right? So you have to start, right? You just got to take that first step. I would so recommend someone, because as you've heard, this isn't all just about personal inner work and overeating beliefs and the subconscious beliefs that keep surfacing. That's the majority of the work. Once you've tackled that, shooting a video or writing an email series, that's easy. It's need the support for and the guidance. What my long-winded way of saying, never give up. Find whatever slice of time that you can possibly find to devote to building this business. And before you know it, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, why was I even worried about that?
Yeah. And what about, there were a lot of different tactics I've tried to no avail. When do you just finally say, this one isn't working, let's try something else? I'm a big advocate about not giving up. I have wanted to give up repeatedly in my life, but I never do. It's the Capricorn goat in me, But what about, when do you kind of say, this one isn't working, let's try something else?
Yeah, I would say that's going to depend upon doing. So there's like, okay, let's see. I'm going to do a 3-day event where I show up, and then at the end of the 3 days, I'm going to invite a 6-week course, let's say, right? First time, and maybe I get 1, maybe I get 0. If that didn't work, so I throw it all away and go, okay, now do something different. That's time to transition. It's time to take a look at, okay, of the 3 you just did, the 3-day event, what worked? Did you have a lot, and then maybe not so many showed up? Like, you really have to digest what's going on, so that the next time you run it, okay, so but not many people showed up. Well, I'm going to focus to get people excited about showing up for a 3-day thing, right? All kinds of things, invariable thing that you're doing, and you have to look at those and say, okay, it's not the whole is poor. There were just things that I could execute differently. So that's what I mean about, not giving up, and not giving up on your dream, and not giving up this calling and the mission that you're being called for, right?
Yeah.
So, when you've done that, run this 3-day thing 10 times, you shifts every single time, you looked at it, and you're still not drawing people, it's not your platform. Maybe we need to look at a better platform for you than a 3-day event. Maybe it's just a workshop, or maybe it's time for you to write a book. I mean, there's a question could go, but there's a difference between trying something once and saying, oh, that didn't work, and giving up on it, than identifying areas of opportunity.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. As you're talking, I'm thinking, what goes on in my head every time I think I should give up is, how will I feel on my deathbed? Will I be saying, gosh, Royce, you were supposed to do this thing, and you tried and tried and tried, and it didn't happen, and then you gave up. I know that I would be filled with such remorse and so many regrets.
Yes.
I didn't do what I was supposed to do here. And, I've looked at a lot of past lives where I ended up doing that, where I just said, oh, forget it. And I'm here to not do that this time. So I hope anybody that's watching or listening just thinks about that deathbed scene and goes for it and never gives up, because you don't want to be laying there going, oh, I did it again. Oh, God.
Yeah. As you know, as we grow and change, our audience is going to grow and change. So I started working with moms, and then I kept getting these messages like, okay, you need to be doing this money piece, and you need to be working with business owners and entrepreneurs and people who want to create a beautiful difference in the world. And so, yes, that all may change, and it may feel like giving up, but when you're shifting into a different version, let's say, but yeah, never give up on the calling, because I think of times where I was ready to be like, this isn't worth it, right? And then the next client has an amazing breakthrough, and you're like, oh, it's awesome.
Yes, I know that happens all the time. And plus the challenges of not doing things in person anymore. Everything I used to do was all in person, and we would all, have tea together and share and all of that. And now it's like, it's so impersonal. Even though you're with people, it doesn't have that same vibe. So yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah, it is. But this opened up for me, at least. I get to work now with women all over the globe, from Sweden
Yes.
and Spain and Ireland and the Netherlands and
Yes.
France and South Africa. I love that. I love getting to experience a global perspective on spirituality and on business.
Yes.
So there are drawbacks, but there are some beautiful benefits that have certainly, which I so appreciate.
Yeah, I hear you. It's great. So in the couple of minutes we have left here, I'd love for you to share a success story or something that somebody went through with your help and really succeeded.
There's so many. Okay, so there is who was the epitome of what we talked about at the beginning of the show. Don't put me in a box. My work can help, right? And this is beautiful, beautiful work, which it is. And when we was like, okay, doing is working. I feel like I've tried absolutely everything, and I was 6 months ago. We had a very, frank conversation when she first started. Before she hired me, it was like, okay, what if you were open to differently, and what if to at least try what I suggest, like 6 months while we're working together, and if you hate it and you're not happy, back to whatever you were doing, and just together. So she said yes, and we started working together. We spent the first month refining really what her vision was. Like entrepreneurs, we get to choose who do we want to work with. We don't have to work. We can work with the people. I'm not talking about individuals, but like the want to work with. So she was able to identify that. She then worked on what is the problem that she solved. And she ended up working with creatives who, through COVID, had lost their spark. They had lost their means of, performing live and things like that. And she helped them reignite a new vision for them and to be creative and still earn a living. And it was her first workshop that we did together. She had 13 it was a course. It was a 6-week course. She had 13 people that registered for the course. She has been able to run that. She now has her own podcast. She is continuing to do courses, both, I'm going to say, live on a Zoom platform and digital courses that creatives are drawn to. And when we got done, we became the other thing I love about this business is, Royce, is we become very good friends with our clients. So over this period of time, we became very good friends. And at the end of our 6 months together, I, was kind of teasing her a little bit. And I'm like, okay, so are you ready to go back to working with everybody, fixing everything? And, we had a good laugh about that. But she was like, thank you for being so upfront with me, holding the vision for me that I couldn't see for myself.
That's awesome.
Right? And that's what this work looks like.
Yes.
We've got to hold they can't hold for themselves.
Very true.
In that moment.
So I'm hating to cut you off, but tell people how to reach you. And we do need to end. Oh, we've got like 30 seconds. Tell people how to reach you.
Find ways to touch points with me and reach me at coaching.com. That's my website. You can articles that I've written. You can see other interviews that I've done. You can see what I have. My email is on there. My phone number is on there. Just come say hi.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. Keep up the good, important work. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. That's the message of the day and of the year. Thank you, Karen. It was great to finally meet you.
Same here.
Thanks.